Welcome back to the Bentonville Beacon podcast, where we're sharing stories and advice from the leaders sparking the rise of Bentonville, one of the fastest growing and most dynamic cities in the United States, nestled in the Ozark Mountains of Northwest Arkansas in the heartland of America. Hey, I'm your host, James Bell, and it is my pleasure to share the studio today with a 9-time UCI World Trials champion and founder of Bentonville Bike Fest, Kenny Belaey. Kenny,
Hey.
welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Well, glad you're here. Let's jump right in and get to know you. I left a lot out in that introduction. Will you let our audience know what they should know about Kenny Belaey?
So I'm a 40-year-old trials rider. So trials is a discipline where you have to go over obstacles without putting your foot down. I've been doing that in competition format for until I was 38. So I retired from competing 2 years ago. I've been traveling the world extensively for the last 20 years almost, literally from Tokyo to LA and everything in between. So been very privileged with making my hobby a job. And it was really a big adventure so far. Been on the podium in the world championships for almost every world championship that I entered. That's something I'm really proud of.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it was a lot of hard work. And it was just one big roller coaster of traveling and events and good times. Haven't been injured too much. I live in Belgium. Actually, I'm a resident of Belgium, but I live most of my time in Spain for training purposes. And I travel to the States like constantly. I spend a few months here a year and organize the Bentonville Bike Fest. So it's a very special life, but we love it. My wife's also very adventurous. We just got our baby, 7-month-old Caesar, and my wife is thank you. And my wife is almost done to become a commercial airline pilot. So we are nothing but normal.
You're going to be traveling a lot more then, right?
Yeah, for free.
For free. Wow. Is first baby?
Yeah, first baby. It's awesome. Like, just to see that kid smile. And already last week before I left, put him on a Strider bike, and he was already like holding the bars like a boss. So I was like, yes, nice. Thank God.
Good genes. We have a 2.5-year-old, and I need to put his Strider bike somewhere where he can see it more often, so he starts getting around on that thing.
Mine was like in his face all the time. I was like making sure he likes bikes.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, let's talk about this love for bikes. Where did your love for bikes come from? When did you start riding? And then what led to you becoming a pro athlete and a globetrotter?
I think my dad was a motor trials champion, I must say, doing that in Belgium. And when I was, I think about 8 years old, we were on a holiday somewhere in the south of Belgium where it's like a little bit more mountains and where trials is very popular. And there was like this rental place, and they rented out trial bikes, bicycles. So I got one of those, and that I think 2 years later we were already doing the world championship for the youth categories. So my dad has actually been like the catalyst of putting us, myself, and my brother into the sport of trials. But also from an early start, I was always very interested in road bikes and mountain bikes, and always been going to the events, been checking it out, been following it. I have good friends from these disciplines as well, because in Belgium road cycling is really big. Mm-hmm. So I just love bikes in general. It gets you places, clears your mind, keeps you healthy. Just bikes are life.
I love it. So I mean, you've stood on the podium quite a few times. What's been the highlight of your career so far?
I think the highlight, I mean, there's really not much difference between the first time you won the world championship at 20 years old, or even I was younger, I was like 16 in the youth categories, or the one I won when I was already in my 20s. So it's always been hard work, and it's always been, of course, it's a great reward to win the world championship. But I think one of the biggest things that I've achieved from a mainstream point of view is when I rode over the slackline in 2015. So that was we put up a slackline that's around, like, it's like a belt that you use, like truck belts. They use it to tie down stuff. So it's like 2 inch wide. It's super, well, slack, slack line. And it was between two mountain peaks over a ravine, 370 feet above the ground at almost 10,000 feet altitude. So no oxygen almost. And that was so hard. And I always say to people like I fell off that thing for, I don't know, 90 times in the course of 6 days. And every time fall, get back up. And then it was like after 45 minutes, you could do your second attempt because you had to go back. You had to pull your bike back up, fix the rope, put duct tape on it, get the drone back in the air. You know, it was such a hard project. And after 2 seconds, I would fall off again.
Wow.
So, and I always say to people, this is kind of like a resume of my career. Like you fall, you get back up, you try again, and you fall, and you get back up, you try again until you make it. But you always keep believing that you make it. Like at one point, like even my close friends and my camera guy who works with me for 20 years, at one point he even thought, he didn't tell me then, but he said afterwards, like, I was sure you were never going to make it.
That's wild.
But I'm like, I was sure I was going to make it.
I love that. I've got to know now, when you did make it, how long did it take to get across?
It's short. It's only 18 meters. What is that? Like 40 feet.
Okay.
A little bit. No, 60 feet. Sorry. Yeah, times 3. So it's I don't know. It's about 30 seconds, maybe max. I didn't want to do it fast either. I wanted to do it controlled because I wanted to be like able to go, stand still, go, stand still, go. I didn't want to just roll over really fast.
Sure.
That would have been like a lucky shot almost. So I really wanted to have the control because trials is, everything you do is controlled. So it was kind of the idea. Wow.
So are you going to add in a trick next time you do it?
Yeah, I'll wave. No, it's we've been thinking about doing a 2.0, but like we don't want to discredit the first attempt, and we just keep this one. This one is now 7 years old, almost 8 years old, and it's still being shared weekly. I had like I don't know how many million views, but like I think close to like 800 million on national on History Channel and Discovery and Red Bull, and yeah, the whole world shared that thing. That was so I just leave it how it is. There's no need to do another one.
Let's go. Well, we'll try to get you about 5 more views. We'll add the link in our blog for the podcast.
It's on Red Bull, redbull.com.
Okay, we'll check that out.
Red Bull cool. Bike, yeah.
Hey, this next question has 3 important parts. How did you discover Bentonville? And what did you expect you would find the first time you came? And then what was reality?
Yeah, so I was, it was in 2012 that I got an American sponsor, a bike sponsor, GT Bicycles. And they booked me to do a show at the, somewhere in Canada. And then after that, I flew to California because I had a halftime show for the Golden State Warriors. And I was on a trip and I randomly just got a text or an email somebody called me like, hey, we looked you up on the internet. Would you want to come to Bentonville, Northwest Arkansas to do a show? We have a hotel here. We want to open it. And we need some entertainment. I go to the guys, the GT bicycle guys, and I say, hey, they want me in Northwest Arkansas, sorry. And they were like, oh, man, there's nothing there. You'll hate it. It's like, I'm a bit disappointed, So I got here and I was like, they put me up in the 21C hotel. That's actually why I came to do a show at the opening. I think it was the opening night of the 21C.
Yeah.
And I jumped over some people, had a good time. And I was like, I texted the guys from GT Bicycle. I'm like, this town is actually pretty cool. They're like, no, it can be. I'm like, it is really cool. And I kept coming back and made it my US base camp.
Yeah, well, very cool. That's awesome. So then you chose Bentonville, right? So can you compare
Bentonville chose me.
Bentonville chose you. That's right. That's cool. Can you compare it to where you live now? Are there similarities, differences?
To be honest, yeah. I think Belgium is very hardworking. You know, people. A lot of people live on the countryside. We are very grounded, and I think that's something I can find in Arkansas as well. Like, you know, East Coast, West Coast of America is like, you know, it's like trying to be very fancy and all that.
Yeah.
While here it's like not like that. There's not much showing off. Everybody's like low key, doesn't talk too much, make it happen. And that's something as a European from being from Belgium where we have the same mentality. I think that's a lot of comparisons. So I think, yeah, I feel at home here.
Oh, cool. Very cool. I love hearing that. When I have a fantastic intern who does some background research for me. And I started reading her notes, and I was surprised to find out about sort of the roots of Bentonville Bike Fest. I didn't know what the history was and how it came about. So will you take us back to the beginning and then bring us up to this point where you became a full-fledged festival and explain how all that transpired?
So when I came here, I actually wanted to, when I came back, I'm speaking 5 years later. So in 2013, I did this show for the 21C Hotel. And then the next 4 years, I traveled to the States on and off, but I was very focused on competing. So shows and organizing wasn't really on top of my list. I just wanted to compete. But I was following on social media, everything that Bentonville was doing. And like, I could see like they were doing something big. And they told me already in 2013 that they wanted to become a world-class mountain bike destination. But I haven't really seen it in person. So when I did come back in 2018, and they showed me all the trails and like the boneyard, that like the big wooden structure right there, I was like, oh, this is not normal. This is like insane what they've built here. So yeah, fast forward a few weeks, I was like, you know, I organize events in Europe. So, and my partner back then, my ex-wife now, she was really into, you know, she was a mountain biker and she really loved always like about equal prize money for women, like champion women on bikes. And she was promoting that. I was like, you know what, let's do an event together. Like we do an event in Bentonville, and I pitched it to the Waltons and to their people. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And then I actually worked with the film festival, Bentonville Film Festival, because they were also about inclusion. So it made total sense to have women on bikes, champion them, and also have movies about women on bikes and show that during the film festival with group rides and vendors. And so that's how Women's Right came to life.
Oh, that is so neat.
Yeah. And then the year after, in 2019, Women of Oz existed. And I was like, you know, there's no need of 2 women-focused events. So I was like, I can do more than just a women event. So I was like, I pitched again another idea. I said, look, I can do more than that. I can also do enduro and trials and bands and the whole thing. Everything I've seen in the world that works, I can try and do it here. Like, and created Bentonville Bike Fest.
That's neat.
So I went like, you know, it went from idea to something like some scribbles on paper and a little diagram on the keynote that I presented to the city and to the Waltons, and they liked it, and they're like, oh, show us what you got. And I start working my butt off. And then cool. 2020 I had to cancel the event because of COVID. It was a good call. Lost a lot of money. And then 2021 started working on the first edition, and it was we knocked it straight out of the start gate. It was I think actually COVID saved us a little bit because we had a lot of time to work on it. And I was training, but I wasn't traveling. So thanks to COVID, Bike Fest, the first year edition, was what it was. That's why it was so big. Because also we had a lot of time to contact all the vendors, the whole industry, and then also work with all the CPG brands in Bentonville to get them on board. But it was hard because we were selling air. Like nobody has seen an event like that here yet. So yeah, how do you sell something like that? So with photos and pictures from events that I've done overseas. Yeah, and then first edition 2021, and then 2022 was even better, and 2023 should be better again.
Very cool. I love that. Were you surprised by how fast things transpired when you were like, hey, I want to do this thing, and people just said, yeah, let's do it?
Yeah, that's something also that I'm not really used to, especially working in Europe. We are not like Americans are more like, you know, yeah, let's go, excited. Like maybe it doesn't work, but let's at least try it. In Europe, we're more reserved. Like why would we do that? And you know, and like a lot of questions. But here it's like, man, I love working here. It's like just like go getter, and that's what I'm a doer. Like,
yeah,
I don't like to talk about it. Like I like to do it, and now let me show you what it is, and I know I can do it, and then I will talk about it.
That's fantastic. Well, I wrote myself a note when you were talking about 2013 and then coming back, and it was insanity, right? Yeah. What had transpired going from, hey, we're going to make this the mountain biking capital of the world to, wow, look what they did. I can't believe it. Have you seen that kind of transformation in other places in such a quick period?
No.
What did you think about that?
That's impossible. Like, so when Tom Walton, when I rode with him in 2013, he said, hey, I want to make this a mountain bike capital, not a capital of the world, but like a world-class mountain bike destination. Like, it's not that I didn't believe them, but I was like, you know, critical. I was like, okay. But then when I came back and I saw what they've done, I was like, whoa, this is like unique. Like, that's insane. In such a short amount of time to get, like, I mean, even if you have, okay, I get it. If you have all the money to do it, makes it easier, but it's not only that. It's more than that. It's to create a community that's all behind it, that share the same vision, and really wants to do it. And then, yeah, just the amount of trails, and not only the amount of trails, just also how it's built. It's really designed to make mountain biking a mainstream sport, and that's why it's the mountain bike capital of the world. Because that's some people, especially mountain bikers all over the world, like, they look at the landscape, they're like, oh, that impossibly can be the capital of the world because you don't have 3,000 feet mountains and all that. But what they don't understand is that making it accessible to the mainstream, that you can actually go ride your bike with your kid and your wife on the same trails, but I will go faster than them. That opens up a market that's like doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. And that's why it's the mountain bike capital of the world.
That's cool. I love that. I can't wait to ride with my son.
Yeah.
Which means I better pick up the pace and ride a lot more so that I quit ending up with the rubber side pointed the wrong way. You mentioned growing Bentonville Bike Fest and making it bigger and better effectively. Can you talk about from 2022 to now, what are you doing this year to be bigger and better, and how does your new venue fit into that?
So the bigger is not necessarily what we want. We want to be better. So we are closer to the trail system. That's a huge win. We are on a grass field. It's going to be feeling more like a festival.
Yes.
The old Applegate actually has a lot of history, so we're bringing a little bit back that old, you know, the old memories of the locals. They will probably enjoy the festival way more. Moving it 3.5, 4 weeks almost back to May is it's going to make a huge difference, because a lot of vendors don't come back because they think it was too hot. So if they want to come back, we move the date, so it's going to be cooler. And yeah, we are just way more prepared. We have a bigger team now. Like before, it was basically Jesse, John, and I. And we had a few calls, and then we brought in a few more people, and that was it. And everybody, we were so slammed that the growth was so fast. We weren't prepared for that. So I was putting up fences at midnight. They were filling up ice at 1 a.m. It was like, like insanity. And in the meanwhile, I was having calls, and I have a radio here, and like there's a complete chaos. Now we are more prepared. We have a bigger team. Like we doubled the team. So it's going to be all way more controlled, and everybody's going to have a way bigger experience, from vendors, sponsors, to the fans, to the riders, to like everybody's going to have. So better for sure in that terms, like better, like more organization, and that's a good thing. Bigger, we definitely are growing the amount of pro riders and the presence of Olympic medalists, world champions, world famous MCs from the bike industry at least. Our sponsors will be treated way better. We have an amazing VIP hospitality right now. On-site, off-site, we have VIP events. So we treat our sponsors like, like it should be, because after all day, make sure we can all do this. And yeah, so from that point, we are definitely going bigger.
Yeah, I mean, since you mentioned pros and Olympians and so on, how geeked are you about the U.S. mountain biking team rehoming in Bentonville?
Yeah, that's really cool. So US Cycling making that move is, I mean, it's a no-brainer almost. But again, it's about relationships they've built. And I think everybody, like even in Europe, everybody knows about this place. It's like locals don't always realize that, but everybody's looking at Bentonville as, oh, they're doing something. They don't know exactly what yet, but they're doing something that's different and that works. So everybody's looking at this place.
Yeah, I mean, just in the little over 2 years that I've been here, and I have conversations with people all over the place every day, it's been interesting to me to hear just in those couple of years sort of this transformation of, I mean, frankly, when I first got here and when I was first thinking about this place and knew about the mountain biking scene, and I would ask people about it, and some folks would be like, I don't know. And now, I hear folks like in Southern Colorado and other places saying, no, I've been thinking about coming there. Yeah. Well, come on. Yeah. I've got to check it out. So it really has, it seems like it's really made a transformation even in that time. I can't imagine, 2012 to now.
Yeah. I mean, 2012, I walked across the street of 21C Hotel, and there was like 2 food trucks, like the ones that are still there. Yeah. And that was it. Like there was no good restaurants except for the one inside 21C. So it definitely changed. Like, can't even compare. When we rode at Kohler, then it was like, there was nothing there. It was like, yeah. So I can't even like imagine how many people are building those trails. Like that's also something like these people work really hard. It's like, yeah, big job, a lot of work.
Yeah. I don't think anybody would expect to have, folks would expect that, here in the middle of the country in Northwest Arkansas and Bentonville, that we have several professional trail building companies.
Yeah, and because they relocated to Bentonville, they became world famous in the scene, and they're getting jobs all over the country and even international because of this place. Yeah. Also because, like, just like me, like they're like, yeah, show what you got. We're not going to tell you how to do it, and that's what I like too. Like, okay, because it was like a white canvas. Same with these trail builders, like, if we can do this or that, okay, maybe build it like that, maybe build a jump like that. And there's so much knowledge now about how to build, how to maintain the French drain. The whole trail system is so, advanced that they can bring that to other places now in the country. And even like, I know people like Progressive Trail Design, they're now building in Portugal. I mean, it's like all because of this place.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I remember when I had Gary Vernon on the show, I don't remember if it was during the show or sort of side talk or another time, but he told me about how he used to go places, and he still does, right, to see how they're building trails and what they're up to. But now folks are coming here, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah, exactly.
This year, how many people are you expecting to attend Bentonville Bike Fest?
We have around, I think, 40 world-class pros coming.
Nice.
Around 600 people that will race, compete, workshops, do all that. We are hoping for around 15 to 20,000 people coming in and out, like coming and going festival goers. We have 130 vendors, and then the food trucks. We got the bands. So yeah.
That's wonderful.
Everything.
Well, who should attend? It sounds like anybody who likes bikes, but really in the general community, who should attend? What makes how do they get the best experience out of Bike Fest?
I mean, Bike Fest is designed in a way that it's for everybody, like literally everybody. Like if you bring your grandma that have never seen a bike show or whatever before, she will go home and she will have a smile on her face. She will say to her grandchildren, I have never seen like that's amazing. Like kids racing on small, like balance bikes. That was the best time I ever had. I know those guys jumping in the air, crazy. Then if you're a mountain biker and you've been riding for 30 years, you can go to 120 now, we have now vendors and see the latest bike technology, or you can try bikes out. If you're a music fan and you don't care about bikes, we have a food garden. You can drink beers all day and have great food and watch the bands or see trial shows or flatland shows. So basically Bike Fest is very community driven. We build this, we designed this for everybody to enjoy it. That's basically what Bike Fest is.
I love it. I can't wait to check it out this year.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm thrilled to see this grow and how it's made progress. How would you characterize the impact of Bentonville Bike Fest, both to our community, but also to you personally?
Well, if it's to the community, we try to bring in all the pro riders, we try to bring the industry here and hopefully influence them to set a headquarter here, which is already happening. I'm not saying that because of Bike Fest. That's also the Runway and the whole group and the Waltons, of course, their work. They're really trying to get the industry here. So we try to influence the industry that's coming here to display their bikes, to showcase their latest products, and then maybe say, hey, you know what? This is actually a cool place. We can relocate here and have a warehouse here or whatever. They have an office here. So that's what some brands are already doing.
Yeah.
So Vittoria is now doing it, the tire company. So that's one thing that we want to do. Definitely create jobs because of Bike Fest. A lot of people, we need suppliers, and so we help the community that way because it all adds up, and we provide a lot of work for the community. And then for me personally, I love Bike Fest because I can really express myself. It's a way, so I don't know if you know, but I also, like when I do a trial show or make videos, it's all about creativity. I don't really think when I used to compete, you had to follow the line of where the course goes.
Yeah.
But when I make videos for Red Bull or even on my social media on a daily basis about freestyle, I don't think there's like 20 obstacles. I just go do them and I ride and I jump and then I spin and I don't think, like I just do. It's natural.
That's cool.
It's like a natural flow. I make artworks. Like I make.
I've seen some of it.
Yeah, I put paint on the floor. I mean, not on the floor, on my canvas. And then I slide, I slip. Same thing. I don't think. Like I just create something that I think will look good, and I keep doing it. And then when I look, I'm like, oh, it looks pretty good. And it's the same with Bike Fest. Like there's that gut feeling. Like I'm like, oh, that will work, and that will work, and maybe that won't work, or it also depends on budget. But it's like creating an art piece, and that's what I like about it, about organizing. I absolutely hate all the admin that goes into it, updating the website, invoicing, contracts. Sometimes I look like a lawyer and I don't like it. But, it's the stuff that has to happen. But the creative process of creating, like it was just an idea on paper to actually seeing the vendor come with his bike brands. He drove in like 6 days from, I don't know, Oregon to set up his booth and his products at Bike Fest. I'm like, yeah, this is, or having like Ryan Williams flying from Australia to do a show here. So, and then, when it all comes together, like the programming where you have also this, because that's another thing from being a trials rider, they booked me at, I don't know, maybe 2,000 events. And a lot of the times they put me in the wrong place. And before we started, especially with my brother, we're like, look where they put us. You know what they're going to say after the event. Yep. So then you do your show and there's no crowd, or not the way they thought it would be. And then they come, man, if we knew that it was this or that, we would have put you there. And my brother and I were like, yeah, that's what we knew is from the start. We knew we had to be there. So that's also something I have, with all the experience, I know, okay, trials has to be there. BMX flatline has to be there. The dirt has to be there. We have to make sure that goes on that time and that on that time and that on that time. and that's from, yeah, just love the whole creative process of drawing it on a map, and just, yeah, I love that.
It's great. Yeah, well, it's great creativity. It's great intuition, right?
Yeah.
You really know your craft, so to speak. You mentioned as an economic driver, as an economic developer, my primary focus is on really companies and helping them build and grow. It's how do I help local businesses that are already established build and grow? How do I help folks, entrepreneurs, get their businesses up and going and building and scaling? And then there's the other piece. There's the businesses that don't have a presence here, helping those business leaders decide whether they should have a presence here. Clearly, this sounds like somewhere I need to be
Yeah.
to go meet a bunch of folks. But how would you say I need to be engaging with Bentonville Bike Fest in this capacity, really to take advantage of the fact that you're bringing the industry here?
I think, well, we have so much opportunities as well. Like now we also organize, like on Thursday evening, we have a VIP opening night where we connect the industry with the leaders here, and we create dialogue. So they come up with ideas. We also invite all our sponsors there, the CPG brands, because that's another thing in the bicycle industry. What I learned from as a trials rider is, like, how can you get the support from the CPG brands, from the mainstream, that are not necessarily in the bike industry? And as a trials rider, it's fairly easy because we are riding on billboards if we want it. If we brand them, we're riding on billboards. So that whole connection is really important to Bike Fest. How do we connect all these pieces? Because it's a free event. So we don't charge, it's like general admission for the audience is free. Like it could be like a like a $30 a day event if we wanted to.
Yeah.
But we don't do that because we get the support. We are really blessed with where we are because of all the brands that have a presence here. But then I'm talking about the CPG brands, the brands that sell to Walmart and all those companies. And they want to support cycling as much as the bike industry wants to support cycling. And that's great. And that's something we want to keep growing on. And that's the formula that we can only do here, if I have to be really honest with you, because of that ecosystem. So we want to keep growing that part of Bike Fest. Yeah. Connect all the whole corporate scene with the bike industry and have them figure it out, but also support us, of course. That
is so cool. Yeah, I mean, how unique is that? I mean, you've got these 1,400 vendors basically sitting here in Northwest Arkansas. Of, if you go to the store, walk down the aisle, look at the brands, Procter & Gamble, Crayola, Clorox, you name the brand, and you can drive by it here somewhere. Yeah, exactly. Which is really cool. And they, like the first year we talked to them, they knew something, that Bentonville was something with bikes, but they weren't really sure about what it is. But now you can tell in our conversation, they know exactly what the biking industry and ecosystem looks like, and how they're all looking now for like ways, how can we activate our brand and work with the companies here and the events here. Yeah. We've talked about a good bit of this, but, thinking about Bentonville, will you talk more about the city and how the city has evolved and this biking culture has developed, and how we've embraced it as this way of life and an economic driver, from your point of view? From my point of view? Sorry. Yeah. I was asking, we've talked a little bit about this, and I guess this is more so of, is there anything else to add above what you've said? This place has developed this deep bike culture here now, and has really embraced it as a way of life. You have anything else to add to the things you've said already about that? No, I think I've covered everything. It's just, I think what I've already said is really why is it the mountain bike capital of the world, and soon also the gravel capital of the world? It's not just, it's self-proclaimed, maybe it's a good marketing way. Yeah, it's a good marketing strategy. But yeah, just inclusion, like get everybody here, get everybody together, and get the support from all these big companies to further grow the cycling industry. And
that is one part. That's the business side of things. But if you want to talk about the riding, like physically the riding, that's also amazing because you got the greenway in the middle, you got all the trails on the side, and it's just like everything is also accessible. Because, for example, when I go riding in Spain with people that are not so trained or technically fit or skilled, they struggle. It's really hard to ride there. Like, it's not built. It's just a donkey trail that's 1,000 years old. So it's like very accidental. It has rocks everywhere, and I love that. I'm a trials rider, but the mainstream doesn't, and they like, nah, mountain biking is not for me. Here, you're like, if you're a road biker, you never touch the mountain bike, or you just ride commuters. Just get a helmet and ride the same trail that I'm riding. I will jump over the doubles. You will roll over them very slow, but we have the same experience. And that's what they say here. They want to become like a ski town where you take your whole family on a ski slope. I'll go straight, don't make turns, and I go fast on the skis, or you can go really slow and, you know, take it easy. And that's kind of the same idea. And that's what is so unique and smart about this area.
That's cool. It's funny you say that about a ski town. My wife and I were walking downtown to, I guess we moved here in December 2020, so it must have been 2021 in, I guess, November, because December. It was the Christmas parade. And as we're walking downtown, I looked around and I looked at my wife and I went, I've got it. I finally get it. I'm like, I know what we are. We're a ski town, except everybody has bicycle racks.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yeah.
And there's so much to do.
And same vibe too. You know, like if you look around and also the urban planning, I like it because it has a lot of wood involved. And not a lot of, even if it's like concrete buildings, like, you know, they kind of hide it with like wooden, like wood on the side, or like it keeps that natural look and feel. Yeah. And that's what makes it unique. And that's something they're also smart about. Like, keep it, like, grow it, but don't like grow it by putting up ugly 40-story skyscrapers or something like that.
Well, I'm a big fan of sustainable economic development. That seems reasonable. I have to ask, you mentioned trails and accessible trails. What are your favorite trails and places to ride in Bentonville and across Northwest Arkansas?
I think so every time I come, I don't know how, but I always tend to be very busy here because that's another thing. Like, there's so much opportunity here. Like, every time I'm sitting in a coffee shop, I meet 10 people, and like 8 of them have ideas. Like, and then you gotta, like, it's crazy. It's like almost natural. So because I'm so busy, or because I'm in between trips, I don't have time to, for example, travel 1 hour away. So my favorite is always Slaughter Pen. Anything like yesterday, again, I rode 5 new trails. Wow. Yeah, they just build them like over winter. So I was like, Jesus Christ, how you keep doing that? And you don't have to go anywhere if you just work in Bentonville, jump on your bike, you know, make sure maybe you're already wearing your mountain bike outfit, so you don't have to change, and go for a ride. In 2 minutes, you're on the trail. So that's Slaughter Pen, Bella Vista. If it has to be a little bit, which I like, a little bit more gravity, I love Eureka Springs and Passion Play. That are actually my favorite, but it's a little bit far away from Bentonville. Well, far, it's like an hour drive, which is okay. So and now also the gravel scene. I mean, there's gravel everywhere. That I noticed that also like 6 years ago. I was like, why is there so much gravel here? Like, people living on gravel roads. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, that's an opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, we've grown so fast that we still have quite a bit of that. Yeah. You don't have to drive very far to hit a gravel road. Yeah. In fact, I would say from where we're sitting right now, you could probably drive max 20 minutes in about any direction and hit gravel. Yeah. But maybe not directly south.
Yeah. But it makes sense also from a city. Like, you know, in Europe, we don't have that anymore because it's so densely populated. And we have very little space, so it's normal. So you have also a lot of taxpayers living everywhere, like occupying every piece of land almost. And then of course they're paved. Arkansas is 4 times bigger than Belgium, 4 times. Imagine than my country, but has 4 times less citizens. So, you know, go figure out how much land every citizen has to pay for to get its paved road. So it's like, it's impossible.
That's
So
cool.
So that's like, yeah, really, really unique here.
Yeah. So outside of riding, what other sports do you enjoy, and what other things do you enjoy even beyond sports here locally?
I like art. I wish I had more time to do it because of Bike Fest. It's and my shows again. I've been getting a lot of shows again recently, so I have a little bit less time to do that. So like the abstract artworks that I make using my bike as a brush basically. So I like doing that. Whenever I'm in Spain, I love to just go on the ocean on my paddleboard or my sea kayak. I like trail running. I love music. I'm a big music fan. I bought a guitar a long time ago, but I can't say I'm good at it, but I enjoy it. So that's the most important. So I definitely love music. I like going to festivals, which is like a new thing because for how long I competed? 31 years. Since I was 9 was my first competition. You know, you become a teenager and like, you see all your friends going to like festivals. And I was like on my bike because I had competitions the next day. So now I'm like, I'm 40, so now I can go to festivals. So
That's great. I love it.
I'm the oldest of the group, but it's all right.
No, when I go to festivals, I am too.
With all the bracelets here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Did you get to check out the format? Check out format last year.
My son was born in September, so that was a bit hard to go. But they just released the new lineup and looks amazing. And I'm hoping that I will have time to go if I don't have to go to I don't know where for a show or something.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. Last year, I was shocked by how good it was.
Yeah, it looked amazing. We had serious FOMO, my wife and I.
You and as well. You should have. Will you tell me a story? And the story I'm looking for would be what I call a hashtag because Bentonville story. That would be either just a moment in time or a full blown story, something that happened where you went, you know, that could only happen in Bentonville, or it describes the essence of this place.
Okay, I got to think about that. I don't know. What would that be?
We've had quite a range from folks.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I don't know. I can't. It must be something with the. Yeah, doesn't have to be spectacular, I guess.
No, it doesn't. I mean, one of my first ones was the first time I ever saw a bike detour sign.
Oh yeah.
In fact, this is the only place I've ever seen a bike detour sign.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's basically every time because Bentonville, the hashtag is like, just every time I come, there's new trails.
Okay, that's good.
A mile, I think it's a mile a week.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's not like, you know, putting some sand. It's like really carving it, like with machines and a lot of work.
Yeah.
So basically, I've been coming here for 10 years, over 10 years. And every time I come, there's a freaking new trail. So because Bentonville, only because of that.
That's what we do. Hashtag because Bentonville. I love it. Well, as we start wrapping up, how can our audience reach you or get to know about Bentonville Bike Fest?
All right. So you can reach my whole team on bentonvillebikefest.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, if everybody's, you know, if you're looking to exhibit, you can contact. If you're looking for media, we have our media guy there. If you look to have general questions, you can reach me. So that's the easiest way to go to do it. To do just bentonvillebikefest.com. There's a contact button somewhere, and
excellent.
Just send an email.
Well, I trust our audience can find it.
Yes. These days, that should be all right. It's like I'm trying to explain what a computer is.
Totally okay. Last few questions. These are kind of to get to know a little bit more about you or just some random fun. What's a bike trick that is, and by the way, my intern who was here earlier wrote this question. I think it's a fantastic question. Okay. What's a bike trick that is a lot easier than it looks? And also what's one you're trying to learn? If there's anything left to learn for Kenny Belaey.
Apparently, I mean, the backflip is apparently way easier than it looks. But for some, like, you know, trials, we are very controlled. We're control freaks. We hop from one thing to the other, and then we ride on a skinny rail, and then we turn around, and like it's all controlled. It's pretty slow compared to, for example, BMX.
Sure.
But, you know, the BMX tricks are way cooler to look at. So I'm like, the backflip is something I should learn. And everybody keeps saying, just do it with your skills. I'm like, I know, but I tried one time in a foam pit and I landed on my head. So the control freak in me goes like, if that happens on the pavement, I die. So I'm like, I'm out. But I should learn it. Yeah, I agree.
That's cool. What's that? I love how you answered both with one particular item. That's really good. I love it. Let's talk about your NBA career.
Oh yeah.
I hear you play a lot of halftime or do a lot of halftime shows. What's the most, I guess, interesting audience or NBA audience that you had the opportunity to perform in front of? Yeah.
Yeah, the NBA shows. So basically until 2012, I was doing a lot of shows in the Middle East, and they were like, we were Red Bull. It was for Red Bull, and they just started the market, and it was all like small shows, and like, and a lot of them. I was like, you know what? I should do this. Go for the American dream. I want to do NBA shows. And I just started hustling to get the contacts of those people. Yeah. And yeah, before I knew, I did like 30 shows. But if I have to pick one that's really was the loudest ever, I think it was the Denver Nuggets together with the LA Clippers.
Oh my gosh.
I basically had to do nothing. Just like I hopped on a 2-foot box and everybody just like jumped up their seat. And then when I did my finale move, which is really, really high up on a triangle, that's about 9 feet up. And then I go from one triangle, tip of the triangle, to the next one, which is like 10 feet further. The whole arena just like, the roof like blew off. Like it was like, and I went down like, whoa, what the hell? A little boy from a farming town in Belgium is here in LA, you know? So that was, that's something I just love these audiences. Like also, you know, it's a sport audience. Sports audience. They understand jumping because I'm basketball players, and then I do the same jumps but on a bike carrying that weight. So they're like, whoa, what the hell?
Impressive.
And that just shows how trials and also BMX and all these action sports are entertaining the mainstream. And that's exactly what I learned from also when I organize a bike fest. Like we need that. We need to entertain to be bikers. The mainstream. Yeah.
So cool. Well, Kenny, we already know, I've only got 2 questions left, and we already know you're a skilled rider. We know you're multilingual too, right? 3 languages. What's an unusual talent or skill though that people might be surprised to learn that you have?
Oh, Jesus. Fishing. I'm pretty good at fishing.
That's a great skill.
In Arkansas, with all the lakes. I mean,
I love fishing.
Yeah. No, I love it. But what other skill? I don't know. I think that's it. It's a lot of doing, you know. Like, I'm not a guy that will go like, hey, I read 50 books last month. Unfortunately, not. I wish I had more time to do it. But it's always like active stuff.
Yeah.
Also because like I do my own management and then bike fest. It's a lot of sitting on the computer. So I need to go out. I'm an outdoor person. I'm a doer. So
excellent.
As more I can do, the better.
Very cool. The secret to 50 books. I don't know who's reading 50 a month, but the secret to 50 a year is audible.com.
Audible.com.
Yeah.
I know. I should do that.
Now I'm going to ask them for a sponsorship. Okay. Last question. If you have anything, what's something I should have asked that I did not ask?
I think your questions were pretty like on point. Cool. And I have nothing to ask to add. I mean,
well, Kenny, thank you so much then. I appreciate you spending time with me and with the Bentonville Beacon audience today. I love what you're doing with Bentonville Bike Fest. I love seeing the progress that it's making, how it's growing, and what you're doing for our community. So thank you.
I appreciate it, and I'm happy to be here. And the more we can talk about Bike Fest, the better.
Wonderful.
So thank you.
And hey, thanks to our Bentonville Beacon audience. Without you, we couldn't do this show. It wouldn't be possible. So keep coming back to learn more about Bentonville and its leaders, and about Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas, this place where you get more of what you want and less of what you don't. You can check out this show on any major podcast player. So if that's what you're doing, hit subscribe, and you can see all of our episodes at bentonvillebeacon.com. Thanks. We'll see you next time.